Hey St. Mary Grade 8s, Mr. McHenry back with another math lesson. Today we're going to be focusing on multiplying and dividing integers at the same time. So hopefully you recall that for multiplying and dividing integers we had some matrix charts, and if you look at them they are the same in some ways, and so we can create a bigger multiplying and dividing integers matrix chart. And on the one side we have sign of integer being multiplied or divided, and on the top we have sign of integer doing the multiplying and dividing. And we can fill that in, because if I have a positive integer that is being multiplied or divided by another positive integer, it's going to result in a positive integer. If I have a positive integer that is being multiplied or divided by a negative integer, it's going to result in a negative integer. If I have a negative integer that is being multiplied or divided by a positive integer, it's going to result in a negative integer. And if I have a negative integer that is being multiplied or divided by another negative integer, it's going to result in a positive integer. Okay, so we now have taken these two matrices for multiplying and dividing integers, and we can put it all together into one because the same rules apply for both multiplying and dividing integers. Now, something that is really important as we move forward with integers is that when we are multiplying and dividing integers at the same time, we must read the question carefully. Because if an expression is written as a fraction, remember this bar here, we can write division as a fraction. So for example, we have positive 12 divided by positive 6 divided by negative 2. This fraction bar has two meanings. It indicates division, as we knew already, but it also acts like brackets in Bedmas. And therefore, the operations in the numerator and in the denominator must be done separately before dividing the numerator and the denominator. So, taking that into account, this question here, so I have positive 12 divided by positive 6 divided by negative 2 in the denominator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some square brackets around this expression in the numerator and in the denominator. Okay, and I need to work on the numerator and the denominator separately. Now, obviously, in the numerator, there isn't anything to work with. It's just positive 12. But in the denominator, I have to work on this before I can divide positive 12. So I have to use my Bedmas rules here, and it's positive 6 divided by negative 2, which is negative 3. Now that I've worked on the numerator and the denominator separately, and I have integers, only one integer in both the numerator and the denominator, now I can divide the numerator by the denominator, and positive 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. Now let's say I hadn't used those rules. What would have happened if we don't use the fraction bar acting like brackets, and I first take 12 and I choose to divide it by 6, I'm going to get 2. And then I can take that 2 and divide it by the negative 2. which is going to give me -1, which is not the correct answer. Okay, so an important point here is that this fraction bar acts like brackets in BEDMAS, and therefore the operations in the numerator and the denominator must be done separately before dividing the numerator and the denominator. Let's do another question. Example. Here I have 10, which we can also put positive if we want. Sometimes there's not a positive there, but if it's not there, it's assumed that it's positive. So we have 10 times +2 in the numerator divided by 10 divided by +5 in the denominator. And again, we have this fraction bar. So we have to do the numerator and the denominator separately first. So to help me out, I am going to put some square brackets around the numerator, and I'm going to put some square brackets around the denominator. So I do them separately first. So I'm only going to work on the numerator first. So I have 10 times +2. Well, that is +20. And I'm going to put it all over the denominator, which I am not working on because I'm just focused on the numerator right now, which I have solved for. And now that I've solved for the numerator, I can now solve for the denominator. So I have +20, and in the denominator is 10 divided by 5, which is 2. So +2. And now I can divide the numerator by the denominator, because there's only one number or one integer in the numerator, one integer in the denominator, and +20 divided by +2 is +10. Okay, so an important point here today, that when we have this fraction bar, it acts like brackets in BEDMAS, and that we must do the numerator and the denominator separately before dividing the numerator by the denominator. So please look on D2L for the practice questions with the answers that are attached.